For the first segment, this second hour is the Minnesota Republican candidate for governor, Jeff Johnson. Jeff, less than 2 weeks ago, prevailed in the Republican primary, a handy win, I have to say, by nearly 10 points. Now Jeff is on to the general election, and it's I guess, a 2.5-month sprint till Election Day. Jeff Johnson, welcome back to the Northern Alliance Radio Network, sir. Good to have you.
It's great to be here. I love the fair.
I was going to say, now, we had you on 12 months ago when you were just a few months into your candidacy. So this is quite a marathon, Jeff Johnson, as you could attest to. This isn't your first rodeo. You were the candidate in 2014, but still, it's quite a marathon, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It was about 16 months ago that I got in the race, and then we obviously had the endorsement process, and we had lots of candidates in that, and then a hill to climb for the primary, which we were able to climb with the help of a lot of people. And now this is the last hurdle, is 10.5 weeks from now. So it's been great.
First of all, and again, I know I saw you Thursday, but I just want to say publicly congratulations on your primary victory. Very impressive. And you made no secret about it, that your opponent significantly outraised you, which, again, money isn't everything, but it is important. You know that as well as anybody. And yet not only were you able to win, as I mentioned, nearly 10 points. I mean, I don't know if you were surprised by that. I mean, you go into a race to win, of course, but that's an impressive victory no matter how you slice it, Jeff Johnson.
We were surprised by the margin. I really felt good. I felt like we were going to win, but then sometimes you wonder if you're just living in a bubble and what do all the other people think. But we thought it would be a 2 or 3 points one way or the other. So it was very satisfying. And you know, one thing that is particularly nice about it is that it does show that campaigns are about more than just money. Money is absolutely important, but it is not the determinative factor, and I think that's a good thing.
Now, you obviously went through this in 2014. You had a competitive primary back then, emerged victorious, as you did this time around. And as you could say, you know, on primary night when you emerge victorious, it is exhilarating. There's a little time for celebration, but then how much time do you allow yourself before you have to get right back out there, Jeff? Because obviously the big one's coming up in early November.
Yeah, no, we started the next morning. We had to, and frankly, I'm focusing heavily on fundraising right now because we were focused on other things to win that primary. And now that everybody's on one team, and Tim Pawlenty is supportive, and his team has joined our team, and I got a lot of money to raise really quickly. It's going extremely well, and I'll keep doing that. But at the same time, you know, you can't just disappear. We still have to be out there campaigning, because one of the reasons that we won was because I was all over the state, and Donna, my running mate, and I were meeting with thousands of people every week face-to-face and sharing our vision with them, and that's really what got us over the hump. So I got to keep doing that.
Oh, no question. And obviously this isn't, as we mentioned, you ran for Attorney General back in 2006, statewide race, governor in 2014. So you know what it takes to obviously compete in a statewide race. Dynamics are a little different. You win against it was a Republican wave in 2014, but you win against an incumbent, for reasons unbeknownst to me, a popular incumbent, but an incumbent nonetheless. Now it's a little different dynamic. It seems, I mean, we hear about that, you know, and this is typical electoral politics where the president's first term, the midterms will always go against his party. I get that. But this is obviously an open race. So the dynamics are a little bit different. How do you go into this one differently than you did in, say, 2014, Jeff Johnson?
The dynamics are not a little bit different. They are as different as night and day. I just being out here, and we saw this during the primary too, the attitude of people in Minnesota, not Republican activists, just people, is so different than it was 4 years ago. I heard a lot of, well, things are going okay in the state, and why would we change horses in midstream 4 years ago? I'm not hearing that from anybody right now, including even Democrats that I talk to. They are tired of some of the incompetence and the failures that we're seeing from government that are on a massive scale, and nobody seems to do anything about them. They are tired of the attitude that we're seeing from some of our state agencies, and in particular, how they feel that they should treat people, and they are tired of the fact that we're one of the highest tax states in the nation. They're tired of not having health care choices because government is dictating to them what their insurance policies have to look like. And that is an across-the-board, nonpartisan thing. So the difference is, it's absolutely amazing, and it's very encouraging because people are looking for real change in government, and I will offer that. I don't think Walz really offers that at all.
Yeah, obviously you referenced Tim Walz, your DFL opponent. He emerged victorious in the DFL primary. Now, obviously, he's got a record. He's been a member of Congress for, I believe, 6 terms out of Congressional District 1, which, if you look at the latest Cook political reports, it's a swing district. Typically leans a little Republican, and in 2016 went very heavy for Trump. In fact, Tim Walz won re-election by less than 1%. I think he could see the writing on the wall. It's time to get out while the getting's good, and that means he's running away from a record that he had, which was much more moderate than where he was. I mean, I go back to 2006. I remember specifically an ad he put out against then-incumbent Republican Gil Gutnick saying how Gil Gutnick was soft on immigration, and now Tim Walz is for driver's license for illegal immigration at Jeff Johnson. I mean, you've got people much smarter than I working for you, but it's a treasure trove of material to go after Tim Walz, I would imagine, at this point.
Well, absolutely, and it's all happened in the last year during this campaign. He went so hard and far left, and now we assumed that as soon as the primary was done, he would kind of try to shift his positions back, which everybody hates.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not doing that. He still talks like he's a moderate, even though he's not. But when he gets questioned on these issues, he's in the same place. He still believes that we are undertaxed in Minnesota. He says that a 35% increase in the gas tax is a starting point for him.
Okay.
He still believes that we should move to a single-payer healthcare system, which for those people who don't know what that means, it means that private insurance is gone, and we are all forced into one government. It's the VA for all. He still believes that we should not just give driver's license to illegal aliens. He believes we should be a sanctuary state, which means that we are a sanctuary for every illegal immigrant in the United States of America. They can come to Minnesota, and we will not cooperate with the federal government to do anything about that. That is just a tremendously extreme position. And I could go right on down the list. He's proud of his F from the NRA. He bragged that he is so pro-choice that Nancy Pelosi told him he had to tone it down, and he doesn't believe we should have work requirements for able-bodied welfare recipients. So he is taken positions that are on the far, far left of his party. And while the media will continue to say he's a moderate from southern Minnesota, we're not going to let them get away with that, because if Minnesotans know where I stand and where he stands, I think we're in pretty good shape.
And obviously, we've seen that the Second Amendment, particularly when it comes to guns, a very big issue, particularly in outstate Minnesota. I mean, you look back to, I think it was 2013, one of the years where Democrats had complete control of St. Paul governor's office, both chambers of the legislature. Obviously, they wanted to get while the getting's good and try to push all these anti-gun bills. Even with complete DFL control, wasn't happening.
Right.
So if he thinks that he can, and Tim Walz, and the quote was hilarious, he still feels that he has the credibility with pro-gun organizations to bring these two sides together. I don't see any indication of that, Jeff Johnson.
Oh, heavens no, that's not true at all. Anybody who's paying attention realizes that he's just used that as a political talking point. And Minnesotans, by and large, really value the Second Amendment and understand that our Second Amendment rights are absolutely crucial to our liberty. And so, the happy talk of, well, let's find some reasonable restrictions. Most people don't buy that anymore because they know that is one step towards 3 or 4 or 10 steps down the road. And that seems to be where Walz wants to go now.
You've already had an opportunity, a candidate forum, you and Congressman Walz. What was the format of that? Were you able to kind of engage in the issues head to head? I didn't have an opportunity to see that particular one. Were you able to I know we're just getting started, but were you able to at least engage and try to draw the stark differences at that point?
Not a lot. We've actually had 3. We had 3 in a 28-hour period, I think.
Wow.
And they were good. They were fine. They were civil. And so I think we both were able to draw the contrast, but there wasn't much back and forth. They just weren't set up that way. So we're going to do one on NPR here at the fair next Friday, I think at 11 a.m. I think that one, if it is like the ones they've done before, there will be a lot. It'll be a lot less formal, so we'll be able to talk to each other and challenge each other a little bit, which I think will be good. And then we're working together as campaigns to kind of pick 3 or 4 more towards the end of the campaign that will be televised and everybody will be able to see.
Once again, we are joined by Minnesota gubernatorial candidate Jeff Johnson. He, the Republican nominee, having emerged victorious in that party's primary a little less than 2 weeks ago. Jeff, obviously, we've seen the past couple of sessions under Governor Dayton where there was all Republican control in the legislature and DFL governor. Not a lot got done. There was some substantive legislation passed by Republicans when it came to tax cuts, bringing relief to Minnesotans because we are in such a high-tax state. And unfortunately, the governor, he had this mindset that unless there was overwhelming bipartisan support, forget if it was good for Minnesotans, unless there was overwhelming bipartisan support, he wasn't going to have any part of it. And there's been a lot of valuable things that have fallen by the wayside. How are we going to recover from that going forward.
Well, I mean, he threw a tantrum with respect to the tax conformity bill. That is job number one for me.
Okay.
And not after I'm governor-elect on day one. Maybe I'll take a day off. Day two, I'm going to sit down with the DFL leaders and the Republican leaders, and we have to revive that bill. That is turning a federal tax cut into a state tax increase for Minnesotans almost across the board. It's hard to understand what his thinking was on that, but that can get done because there was bipartisan support for that. Maybe it wasn't broad, but there were Democrats that understood that Minnesotans do not need a tax increase at this point.
Once again, we are joined again, Jeff Johnson, Minnesota Republican candidate for governor. Jeff, we only have about a minute to go. I know people want to have an opportunity to maybe support your campaign, whether it be time or resources. And again, at this date, 2.5 months till Election Day. I'm sure you're not prideful enough to say that you need all the resources you can. So where can people go to find out more about your campaign?
JohnsonForGovernor.org, and if you want to help out financially, you can do so there. If you want to sign up to volunteer, we are a grassroots campaign, and we will continue to be, and we're going to rely heavily on people to come in and make calls or stuff envelopes or knock on doors. And so I would really welcome people to take a look at the website, and if you're interested, try to figure out how to help out. And if you're at the fair, we're on Underwood, right next to the wine building and across the street from the craft brewers, so it's a good spot.
Once again, JohnsonForGovernor.org. I've also linked to it at my blog, BradCarlson.org, so you one-stop shop there. Click on the link and find everything you need to that you can about where Jeff stands on the issues, where you can donate time and resources. And we need to break this 12-year losing streak, Jeff Johnson.
Amen.
Republicans not winning statewide, and we've got some great candidates to do it. So, Jeff, appreciate the time. As always, thank you so much, and hope to see you out on the trail.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
AM 1280, the Patriot Northern Alliance Radio Network. Back with another segment coming up in mere moments. Oh, look at another statewide candidate, Doug Wardlow, making a surprise visit. Doug, can you come on the show? I'm assuming that's why you're here. AM 1280, the Patriot Northern Alliance Radio Network. Back in mere moments. Go nowhere.